Are you a law of attraction enthusiast that maybe sometimes you slip back, you kind of forget the principles, then you pick up my book and reread them and all of a sudden you're in all of that energy again? Or have you not watched the show for a few weeks and you notice you're kind of slipping just a little bit, but every time you join me in my panel on Fridays, you're in the energy again, and you always say, I got to remember to stay in the energy and in the work of law of attraction. Is that you? If it is, you're going to like today's show. Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Loge. I'm the author of these 3 books behind me, and I'm here with the lovely and talented Rhonda Boyle. She's my co-host today, and today we're going to be talking about one of the best ways for you to stay in the energy, to be in the energy, and maintain the energy of law of attraction all the time. So much so that people will be listening and watching your words to make sure you're maintaining your law of attraction status. And that would be your status as a law of attraction certified facilitator. The other day we sent a post out, my assistant sent a post out and it had the word not in the description. Well, did I ever get a lot of emails about that? So welcome everybody. Today is Friday morning. We're here live every Friday at 9 o'clock, 12 noon Eastern. It's very casual Friday today, and glad that you joined us. We're going to be acknowledging you live today. We're also doing Q&A today. If you have a question about my certified law of attraction facilitator program and how it works and what you get and all that other stuff that we don't answer or do answer, let us know in the chat. Also, take time to say hello. Let us know where you're calling from. I know you're loyal. You're with us every Friday. Do let us know that you're here. And good morning to my co-host, Rhonda Boyle. Good morning, Rhonda.
Good morning, Michael Loge. Rhonda Boyle here. Excited to join you again. Your hair looks good,
where
sir.
Where are you calling from?
Say again.
Where are you calling from?
I am here from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, right in the middle of these United States. Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
and I'm on the west coast of Canada on a little island just north of Seattle, sometimes called Gilligan's Island. Well, it's not really called Gilligan's Island. I just call it that. Lots of ships come here. Lots of beautiful cruise ships are here. You know, I guess that's what happens when you live on an island. And, there's 2 advantages to living on the island. Well, here's 2 things about living on an island. If you're not off the island by 9 o'clock, you're not getting off unless you're going to take a plane. Like everything shuts down, the ferries and the boats and the float planes and everything. And the other thing about living on an island, it has its restrictions because, I always have to take a flight from here to Seattle or here to Vancouver. But the beauty of doing training in my school, my online school, is that because you took my certification that way, you didn't have to come to Victoria. I didn't have to fly to another country or another city to do that. So, Rhonda, let's go out in the room and welcome the early birds that joined us today. And I think Sig Brown from Washington, USA has joined us nice and early. We got Sig Brown, Jeremy Sadler. I believe he is in Australia, so good morning to Jeremy. Oh, no, Jeremy's in the UK. Jeremy and Sig, who else is with us?
I see Elise Shockley and Suzanne Darnell.
Hey, Suzanne, she's from Vancouver. Helena Jenikins is from beautiful Vancouver Island, probably about an hour from me up the island, so good morning. Who else?
Let's see, Auntie Bayaban. I may be mispronouncing that probably. She's calling in from Ventura, California.
Okay, good, Audie. Her name's Audie, so good morning to her.
And I am stuck at that point. I'm going to have to reset.
Okay, Samantha Lynn, who's a top fan here. Facebook calls her a top fan. She's from Fredericton, New Brunswick. I did a seminar there a couple months ago. NPS, Natasha Paula Samuel. Hello, Michael and Rhonda, watching from very hot Romford, Essex. Looking forward to the show. Jeremy's giving us a good evening. These are our friends from the UK. Michelle Clifford, I think she's in the Victoria area. She's saying good morning. Leslie Owen from Langley, BC. Congratulations on the new something, Rhonda. She put TOME. I don't know what that means.
I think she's referring to my new book.
Yes, new book.
I do.
Let's take a look at your new book. I'm very proud. You had great stats when it was released last week. Show us your new book. Tell us more about that.
So my new book is called Turning Talents into Strengths, Stories of Coaching Transformation, and I wrote it with 12 other authors. We got together and told our stories on living in your talents and natural strengths. And so that's what I do. I'm a strengths activation coach, and I use a tool called Clifton Strengths Assessment. You and I have worked with that before, and I use that in my law of attraction work. So,
yes.
Yeah.
I think maybe one of the very first time or the second time we met, you figured out what my strengths were.
Well, I took a guess.
Yeah, I kind of knew that I had them. I knew I was good at some things, but once you identify them to me, I really own them. Why don't you tell people a couple of the things that you identify that's some of my strengths?
Well, I'll tell you one of your most dominant talents that you use every day, all day, when you're working with emotion code practitioners and with people who are working law of attraction with you, is your talent of strategic. You have the ability to fly up and above and see the way to go, the way to outline courses, the way to help people get the most out of their learning. You truly are a trainer of trainers, and that's what your certification course is all about. From my experience, your course helped me become a master manifester. And so to me, that is the wow factor of certification with Michael Loge.
Thank you. I've had a couple of speakers. I live right across from the convention center here in Victoria, and I had a couple of speakers that would hire me and ask me to come listen to their talk, and I would take notes, and I would mind map what they do, and then I would meet with them, and I would show them how to rearrange everything they talked about and put it into and they would look at it and say, how did you do that? And at the time I thought, I don't know, I've been doing it forever, but the truth is, it's one of my skills. I can take a complicated subject like law of attraction, NLP, the emotion code, your life purpose, and learn how to teach it to people. So I used to have that kind of hidden in the background, but now I'm totally proud about that. It's like, I own that. Oh, you've got a subject you need to present? I can help you do that. So thanks, Rhonda, for saying that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we've got Barb Ashcroft. She gave us a hashtag old school Michael, and Tammy Prince has joined us. Good morning, Michael and Rhonda. Sylvie Bellini saying, wine's best out of a mug anyway, especially if you have the Oprah mug. Do not touch Oprah mug.
Good segue, Sylvia.
Now, Helena's saying, is there a link so I can listen to your Oprah interview? Well, actually, there's 4 Oprah interviews. I want to tell you the story. So if you've heard it before, you're going to hear it again. So, my book was out. My book came out in 2003. The Secret came out in 2006. So I was selling my book out of the trunk of my car for 3 years. I sold 200,000 copies of it on my own. That's outrageous numbers for someone that lives on a small Gilligan's Island who's self-published. That was a lot. But I was a hustler and a grinder. I was going anywhere and everywhere. I was doing radio interview after radio interview, and I was in the book business, selling books and selling books. So The Secret came out in 2006. Yes, I was asked to be in it twice and declined it. And then Oprah interviewed them, I want to say in 2008 or 2009. And this is my opinion and judgment. The interviews didn't go very well. How do I know that? Because 2 days later, I get a call from the producers of the Oprah show saying, we need someone to help explain this. Well, they didn't know they were talking to the strategic Michael Loge, but they were asking me around. This is a direct thing with that conversation. We've been asking around. People say, if you want to really understand law of attraction, you need to speak to Michael Loge. Of course, I live on Gilligan's Island. My book isn't available anywhere except on Amazon. So we ended up sending them some books. And then after about a week, they called and said, Oprah wants to interview you. And I was traveling at the time, so I went to Vancouver because I live on an island. We didn't have a satellite radio station here at the time. So I went to Vancouver, and it was about February or March. So I go into the studio, wasn't nervous at all. I've been doing tons of interviews. So I was pretty skilled, and I knew how to answer quick questions. I knew how to playing, just that's my talent. I can own that, my talent. So I'm inside the studio, I put my headset on, and I hear the jingle music, and there was no pre-chat. It was like, hey, we've got Michael Loge here today. We're talking about law of attraction, and so it was a 30-minute interview, right? So it went really well. I was joking with her, and we were talking about don't nots and no's, and she said she loved the part about the don't nots and no's. She loved in my book how I summarized at the end of each chapter, and she would go to that, and she said, now, this, like she was quoting my book over and over and over again. So the interview was done. So I put on my jacket. It's wintertime in Vancouver, which isn't totally cold, but you have to dress warm. So I zip up my winter jacket, I put on my knapsack, and I buckled it up, and I put my hat on, and then the producer taps on the glass, and he said, Oprah won. Because when you do a radio interview, when you're done, you're done. They just hang up. I thought, oh, so I put my headset on, and then I heard the jingle music again, and it said, you loved him so much last week, I decided to bring him back again this week. So I did my second Oprah interview, fully dressed, a hat, a scarf, my knapsack, and I couldn't take it off because it was very noisy. So I was just a sweating mess. But I pulled it off a second interview. Oh, I'm sorry. Then there was a third one, and then there was a fourth one. So I was the most interviewed guest.
Hashtag bragging rights.
Hashtag bragging rights for sure. So they were all recorded, and they were all edited and produced. And then they end up playing them 3 to 4 times a day for when episode week 1 came out. That played 3 or 4 times a day, and the next week, and the next week, and the next week. So I was on Oprah's radio show on her Soul series every day for a month. And then over the summer, they repeated them all. So that happened again. And then my cousin's on an Air Canada flight, and he's going through the channels, and now he's listening to me getting interviewed, and he said, is that my cousin, Michael Loge? And it was just funny for him to hear that. Then one time I'm in Phoenix, and I'm with my friend Eric, and we're in his car, he's listening to XM Radio, and then I come on the Oprah show. So they've been doing the reruns, so I do have those recordings. And I'm not quite sure.
Well, the fun thing about that, Michael, if I can just add, is that you actually created that being interviewed by Oprah. That's part of your story because you collected all the names of the other people from Canada who had been interviewed or been.
That's right. Yes,
right?
I remember that. You got a good memory. I remember people way back in the Victoria days, and I would say, remember Dr. Phil used to be on Tuesdays at one time, and that's where he started. I said, I want to be Michael Mondays. That's what I would brag about. Who here wants to hear me on Oprah on Monday? But I had a lot of doubt about that because I said there was no Canadians ever getting on Oprah. And then at one seminar, someone said, well, that's not true. And we start to build the list, and then I get rid of my doubt. If you've been following the work here, when you have doubt, it always gets lessened and lowered by proof.
That's right.
So we proved that. So that week that the producer called, 3 producers called asking for books, and they didn't know that the other producers had already called. So, and then I went to Chicago once a month, and of course, like all guests of the Oprah Winfrey Show, I stayed at the Omni Suites Hotel, and I did that for 6 months, and then I ended up putting a little machine in my house and stayed in Victoria. It was fun. It was good.
Well, I was going to say that one of the other things about your course, because when you start working with other people in training them on how to look for the evidence, you start looking for the evidence more often yourself. And you start to recognize how you are creating these things so that you can actually create more. So it's pretty fascinating how because when you put yourself into a position where you're training others, that's when you start to see even more magic in your own life.
Yeah. Well, because you're in the vibe all the time. I recently hired a trainer at the gym, and after the training or something, he'd send me a text. He was using the word don't, not, and no, and I thought, you know what? If you're going to be in my world, so I'd write back and I'd say, I think what you mean is, and I did that twice. And you know what he texted me? He said, I'm going to learn a lot from you. So every time I go to do the training, and halfway through the training, we take a walk around the parking lot, and that's when he's always asking me some good questions. So because you cannot not turn it off. You're in it all the time.
That's right.
And I know all the facilitators that have taken the program, whether they're doing 10 programs a year or once a month, they remember the training. And one of the most important things in the training is how to reset your vibe. So today I'm sporting the
Absolutely.
vibe reset button. And it is a gift that when you teach it to people, they'll remember you forever. And of course, you'll remember it forever. And that's how you become,
That's it.
I don't use the word mastery, master this or master that, because we're always in mastery. I don't think anybody ever masters anything, but we're always in mastery. And the way to be in mastery is to practice it and teach it and to be it.
That's
So whether
it.
you're at the gym or whether you're at the coffee shop or whether you're with your friends, you're always on the lookout. You're always listening. You're always supporting people. You're always doing the training. So good. Let's go back out to the room here. Let's see who we have. Kelly May Glover. Good morning, Michael. Coffee plus favorite mug equals bliss. Yeah. Lisa Hammond saying good morning to us as well. Helene, I think your pink hair is fun. She is
Thank
fun.
you.
Yes.
It's helpful that I have a hairstylist living with me.
Oh, that's good.
That's right.
And Elise Shockey is saying good morning. So first, let me take a second and talk about, Jeremy's saying, aren't they on my YouTube channel? They might be.
Well, you have hundreds.
I'm not supposed to. So they might be hidden. But I know if you sign up for one of my sequences, I'll find out which ones to sign up for. Then you get them in one of the emails we send all four. But I want to talk about my Certified Law of Attraction Training Program. This manual is 46 pages long, and you're thinking, is it a lot of reading? No, it's a lot of writing. Like that is, if you want to learn from me, we are going to use that was a perfect example. We're going to use all of their learning styles. I'm going to get you to think it. This is one of the examples when I'm teaching about NLP, how to teach to the 4 styles. So I'm actually telling you what is their habits, what are the words they use, what questions do you need to ask them. And all styles like the workbook, because you get to see it, you get to write it, you get to have this matrix or these charts and these forms. Every page in this 52 or 46 page workbook is full of writing. So in addition to watching the videos, and they're all new produced videos, in addition to watching the videos, you actually fill out the information. And I can promise you, because I'm using accelerated learning techniques, that's when you really integrate the information. And even after each lesson, they'll say, wow, did I ever learn that? You could not learn it. So it's in my online school. And the beauty of that is that you can go back and watch it over and over. It's broken down into 2 sections. The first section is how to teach people to stop attracting negative things, and you teach them about the reset button. And a lot of people do that seminar for free. Tell me what your strategy was around that course.
Absolutely. I went out into the marketplace and tested it, and within a very short time period, several hundred people had been exposed to the information. And that's really how I started getting people to go into, my coaching and into my online training too. So absolutely. I love that signature training that you have.
Yeah. And we call it a signature training because, I have a lot of speaker friends that are, when someone asks them to go talk somewhere, 3 days before they're struggling, they're practicing, they're putting the programs together. I've been teaching the signature presentation for about 12 years, and I change it up depending on my audience. So you could say, hey, Michael, I live across the street from this convention center. Someone says, you know what, our speaker just canceled. Can you, you know what, I would get dressed up, and on the way over, I would call and say, who are they and what's their problem? And then I could get up on stage, and it would be like I knew this group forever.
Yep.
So that's the beauty of having signature presentations, that you can do it over and over and over again. Then you become famous for it. Oh, can you do your talk on your famous talk, or whatever they want to call that? Kelly Carson has joined us, and Jeremy Sadler gave us hashtag bragging rights. Susan Arthur said, 2 of my favorite people. Sylvie Bellini is typing out. Kib said, what is NLP? It stands for neuro, which is the brain, linguistics, which is words, and programming is what I do a lot on the show. I'm programming people's brains. Wendy Stout gave us a good morning. Jeremy's from Rugby, UK, still in a heat wave. So what are some of your questions about law of attraction, about the training? Or maybe I've trained you already. What are some of your success stories around that? Let us know. We're going to hang out here and chat with you for a while. Helena said, all styles like reading your books. Well, all my books have the same style. They do. They appease all, whether you like just to see it or hear it, with just words, or whether you like to write stuff down. They all have the same formula. Matter of fact, I have a lot of people that say, hey, would you help me? Would you take a look at my book that I'm writing? And I would say the best time to ask me that is before you start it. Because I had an Olympian here in Victoria said, would you take a look at my book? And he goes, it's almost done. And I said, it's too late. I said, are you willing to make changes to it? And he says, well, how do you know it needs changes? I said, it needs changes. I know that. I said, do you have worksheets? He said, no. I said, do you have lists? And he said, no. I said, do you have graphics and cartoons? He said, no. I said, do you have any characters? I said, no. And I said, then I would probably ask you to rewrite the whole book. He said, oh, dude, I don't want to do that. And I said, you let me know. I wanted to support him. I said, then I can't help you with your book. It's too late. But when you get your book published, take me for lunch and I'll give you some tips on how to market it. Because I'm good at both of those. I'm good at how to write it. So that would be my advice, And my books are written similar to the Dummy series. The Dummy series are brilliantly written because they're written, I'm pointing to my middle book here, because they're written appeasing all of the styles, They've got the auditory style, the visual style, the kinesthetic style, the touchy-feelies, and the thinkers. So if you like that style, that's what the Dummies books. And even though I don't like the title, you're pretty smart after you read a Dummies book because they made sure you learned it in many different styles.
Well, and the interesting thing about that, Michael, and what you teach inside the certification is that each person not only sends or learns information and takes in information in their own special way, but that's also how they see and enact on the things that they want. As they're visualizing and so forth and imagining what they want, they do it in certain ways according to their learning style too.
That's right. And they also learn how to teach the different styles because not everybody likes to visualize and not everybody likes to make a collage and not everybody makes to use a list. So, in my book, I don't tell you to visualize. It's not necessary. No. Hey, is it helpful? It's helpful if it works or if it feels good. Oh, maybe everybody should do a dream board. You don't have to. But if you like it, it makes you feel good. So I'm making sure that we're teaching everybody in words. That's right. The NLP, the Neuralink, the word part.
Because words matter.
They matter, and we're using them all the time. Even when you're not doing anything, and even if you're trying to get to sleep at night, you're still processing words. So you could be doing your law of attraction exercises while you're in bed.
That's right. So Wendy Stout has a great question, Michael, and if I can share that with you to answer. She says, what are your thoughts about setting a specific date for your manifesting goals?
Do you want to answer that, or do you want me to?
No, I'm going to give it to you.
Okay. So here's what is important about setting the goal. When you set the goal, it sets the energy in motion. You got clear about what you want. You don't give goals to what you don't want. So here's my goal. I'd like to attract 5 paying clients this month. Yes, I want them to pay this. That's my goal. See how important that was? So now I just identified what I wanted, which is step 1. When I talked about what I want, or I written my goal down, boy, I just set the energy in motion. I said I wanted 5 this month. And now it's the 25th day of the month, and I only have 3. Now what am I doing? I'm not really celebrating yet because I don't have what?
5.
I don't have all 5. So when you pick a number and you set a goal, most people will keep score that they're not there yet. Oh, I only got 3 and I wanted 5. Well, guess what? Law of attraction is eavesdropping. I only got 3 and I wanted 5. But in Law of Attraction school, we celebrate the 3. Hey, Rhonda, I got 3 ideal clients. They were this and 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 this. And in many cases, it doesn't matter whether you had 3 or 5. But if you're counting that you don't have the 5 and you're missing the 2, Now you're sending this void, you're sending this lack, you're sending a negative vibration. So goal setting is important because it sets the energy in motion. But it's how you observe how far you are. You could say, oh, wow, I got 3 out of the 5. I got 2 more to go. Here's what I like about the first 3 that I got. That's healthy. But to say, I'm running out of time here. I've got another week to go. Where am I going to get the last 2? I'm not reaching my goals this month. I'm going to get in trouble with my boss or with myself. It's like so disappointing. So, and by
what
the
are
way,
you
you don't have to be
focused
saying it
on?
out loud because it's the vibration. Law of attraction doesn't have ears. It doesn't know if you're reporting it or saying it, responding to how you feel about it. So to answer the question, goal setting is important. Having a number could be helpful, but it's how you feel about the number that law of attraction is responding to. Okay, Don Boehm's in the house. Hi, Michael and Rhonda. Good to hear so much value in your training. You always deliver more than expected.
Ooh, here's a great question, Michael.
Okay.
Helena says, can you talk about wanting to manifest something out of desperation? Like clients.
Well, my first thought about that is like, that's a choice about being desperate about that. What about out of desire? Right? And what about talking about what you do after you have the clients? Right? So go beyond the goal of the client because that's where the tension is.
Yes.
Well, I need to make some money here. My business is failing. So instead of saying, I need to get a client, what if you went on a little rampage and said, okay, when I have 4 clients, you know what? I'm going to hire my web designer. And I get 4 clients, I'm going to buy some new business cards. So go beyond, I need to get the clients to what happened. And this isn't acting as if you have them. Say, here's what I want to do when I get the clients. Here's what I'm going to do with the money.
You do have to go beyond that desperation for the money or whatever it is that's the rub.
That's right.
So,
it's how you feel about everything. So you have to change the thought. You have to change what you're giving attention to. And you could still say, I really got to make the money. It's like, well, what are you going to do with it? Oh, boy, if I had $500 right now, I would definitely be able to pay that bill. And then I would definitely buy some new bit. You see how the energy changes, right? Because now you're talking about what to do on. So, let's shorten this, the answer here. Instead of focusing that you're not there yet, focus on what you do when you get there. And you're not acting as if, because that's phony and it might not feel good. You say, when I get this client, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to buy myself a treat. I'm going to acknowledge that I did a good work. And again, it's not what you're thinking about. It's not what you're seeing. It's not what you're observing. It's not what you're saying. It's not what you're reading. It's how you feel about those things. So find something that makes you feel differently about that lack or that anxiety.
There's a big difference between desire and desperation when it comes to energy and feeling. They're totally they're on opposite sides. One's positive and one's negative. One sets off that vibrational meter reader.
Natasha Polisamri has a good question for you, Michael. Did you know about Law of Attraction before The Secret came out? I absolutely did so. My book came out in 2003, and I started writing it in 2000. And nobody really knew about Law of Attraction, very few people. There was only 2 other books with the word Law of Attraction in the title, and they were from 1906 and 1911 or 1913. I went to a lot of Science of Mind churches. I went to a lot of Unity churches. I went to a lot of spiritual centers. So I heard the word Law of Attraction a little bit, but not too often. When it was used, it was never explained. It was like a buzzword. I remember Brian Tracy had a paragraph in one of his books about Law of Attraction. And I was kind of like, oh, I think I know what that means. It's when I attract positive stuff. But then I was really confused when I attracted negative stuff. I said, well, that doesn't work. How can I be a positive person yet? So I kind of discount it. And then in 1996, I went to Seattle. I saw Abraham Hicks. And that's when I learned the most important key was that Law of Attraction is always responding giving you negative things if you're negative. And there was no need to explain it. The answer was, well, that's the law. That's why it's called the law. So, I gave a lot of credit thinking that the universe was smart and it only attracted positive things. But the truth is the universe is obedient. And on the way home from the ferry in 1996, I thought, you know what? This was the piece that I was missing. I don't have to explain why, it's like, yeah, I attracted negative things. Law of attraction doesn't who. I would attract negative things and I would attract positive things. So then I went forth and I started to build process. Well, first I started a little meeting in my house, me and Linda Story, two of us. And probably after a year, I had like 40 to 45 people coming to my house to learn about law. So I was like church in my house, and that's how I learned about it. And my friend Linda, who's a master NLP practitioner, she and I helped develop the processes in my book. So yeah, and then even when I was asked to be in The Secret, it was 3 years before The Secret came out. I said, what's the secret? What's the secret? And I said no to the offer for lots of business reasons. And then when The Secret first came out, I thought, oh, I think I missed the boat. I think I messed up. And then I didn't watch The Secret probably for about 6 months. And I thought, but then my book was selling really well because people were watching The Secret. They were learning about law of attraction. And I was probably there was only a couple books on Amazon called Law of Attraction. So people said, I want to learn more about The Secret, aka Law of Attraction. The same with Oprah. When Oprah had the people from The Secret on, they mentioned the word the law of attraction 16 times. My book went from 196 to number 9, and then to number 3. And then as other countries were publishing The Secret, they went to Amazon and said, well, who's this guy self-published selling law of attraction? And that's why my book ended up going to 37 countries and 37 languages. So I owe a lot to The Secret because one thing, they didn't teach people how to apply it. And that's where I'm training people because, I've watched The Secret. Yeah, you've watched it like 500 times and your life's still a mess, with all due respect.
Because you don't know how to use it, right?
That's right. You don't know how to apply it. Even when you and I met, Rhonda, you were experiencing law of attraction. And I said, well, this book and my training will teach you. I have people come, and I have some people, and I have a little nickname for them. I won't say what it is. The know-it-alls. Whoops, I said that out loud. I said, I've been practicing law of attraction forever. There's probably nothing you can teach me. And they go on. They're a little bit braggy. You know what I say to them? After you come see me on the first break, and my hunch is I'll have taught you something you never knew. And they come to me in their break, sometimes with their tail between their legs, thinking, wow, I learned so much in the first hour of your seminar. Yeah. Okay, that answers Natasha Paula. Elise is saying, do you give mentoring on website design, addressing all 4 styles, which attracting my ideal clients through the words and so on? I am giving, it's so interesting because I've been doing a lot of emotion code coaching, but not law of attraction coaching, right? So I'm going to start coaching people with law of attraction, short-term coaching, 1 or 2 hours, and then give them homework and then meet them again. So Elise, yes, I'm going to be working with people with law of attraction. We could be very specific about your website, how to tap into all 4 styles. Go to my website. I've got videos, I've got worksheets, I've got audios, I've got words. So Elise, if you want to talk more about that, you can send me a private email. Okay, I'm refreshing, Rhonda, and we're just going to acknowledge some more people.
Leslie Marshall says she wishes more writers would use the NLP style.
Yeah, it's hard for me. It's hard. I've only read 11 books in 32 years. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? I've read 11 books in 32 years. Now, I read, but I don't read other people's books, and I wrote 3 awesome books. That's because of all my training with NLP. I knew how people like to learn. So I was kind of ignorant, and I say that in a positive way. What's another word for ignorant? I was naive. I don't know nothing about writing a book, but I know how people like to learn. And remember, I was good at doing seminars. By the way, all 3 of my books were seminars first. That Law of Attraction book that you're reading was my manual that I developed and developed and developed. law of connection, same thing, your life purpose. I did seminars for 5 years on that, and then eventually took them, the guide, and then added characters and added checkoff lists and added graphics and added cartoons and then turned into a book. So if you want to write a book, practice it first. Do seminars on it. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay, Wendy Stout's asking a question. When was the last time you felt the emotion you want? Well, I'm going to answer that question. You see, out of the 4 learning styles, I'm kinesthetic last. So I don't really get a feeling for a lot of things. Just hold off with the hashtags till I'm done my sentence. You don't have to get a feeling for something to attract it. You don't have to say, oh, I want to feel it, I want to feel it. When you give it attention, energy, and focus, so example, if we all talked about balloons right now, big balloons and curly balloons and swirly balloons and purple balloons, balloon. If we just had a balloon rampage right now, we would probably attract them today and notice them today. But here's my question to you, Rhonda. Do we know what a balloon feels like? No. We don't know. I mean, physically we do. We didn't have to get the feeling of balloons, and we could still attract it.
We just had to focus on what it was.
We are still attracting things without getting the feeling for it. Now, there's a slight distinction. When we talk about anything, give it attention, energy, and focus, causes us to send the vibration of it. So that means I had the feeling of it. But I don't have to get the feeling of a large audience. I don't have to get the feeling of being on a radio show. I don't have to get the feeling of doing my training. I just have to give it attention, energy, and focus. I hope that made sense for you, Wendy Stout. Okay, I'm just scrolling through. I think Leslie Marshall.
Elaine Goldman read your book before The Secret came out. She is an early adopter.
Yes. Good stuff.
Okay, Michelle Tenen from Oklahoma City.
Hey, Patty Bellingham saying it sounds good. Okay, so Rhonda, show people your book again and talk about your money game. We see the URL below there. It's very fun. Talk about your book, talk about the money game, because the money game is a classic example of how to give something attention without feeling it. Because some people don't know what it feels like to have money. Can you imagine if you had to feel it to attract it? You don't. You just need to give it attention. Do those 2 things for me, please.
You bet. My new book, Turning Talents into Strengths, Stories of Coaching Transformation, is my effort with a group of coaches telling our stories of transformation in coaching. And the Spin the Money game is a wild and crazy ride in learning how you think and feel about money. So you will definitely bump up, you're going to definitely put lots of amazing things into your vibrational bubble and into your imagination of things that you want. And you're also going to hit some ceilings and bump up against some of your old beliefs that come up. And that's good because that gives you a chance to work through them in a safe, fun environment. So that's what we do in Spin the Money. We start a new challenge, Spin the Money Game 6. And I think I put it's a Facebook group, Spin the Money Game 6. And if you've done it, let us know. It's a lot of fun, and it's a crazy 14-day challenge. So we start our next one on July 21st.
Yeah, and you can put the link in here. In part of our training, Rhonda, part of the certification training, we have the expression. If you're curious and you want to know what the vibe is that you're sending about money, open your wallet. It's a perfect knowledge.
Just look at your results.
Somebody write that down for me. If you're curious about what the vibes are that you're sending about money, open your wallet. Rhonda, thanks for co-hosting with me today. It's a lot of fun.
Welcome.
And I appreciate that. We'll have you back on again. Check out Rhonda's Spend the Money Game. She'll put the link to inside the group there. And, it's a 14-day challenge or a 14-day exercise. And you know the rule, whatever you give your attention, energy, and focus to. So become a deliberate attractor and deliberately include in your vibration the vibration of things that you desire through money. And watch the magic of law of attraction unfold and orchestrate that which you give attention to. proving our point over and over and over again, is you get what you vibrate. Thanks everybody for chilling out with Rhonda and I. It was nice to have you with us. Thanks for all of the great comments. Like always, we're going to monitor the chat today. And if you have anything else you want to ask me, go ahead. We'll be watching. See you later, everybody.